How's it going?
It's going good. This weather is driving me nuts, but that's okay.
How did you deal with this when you lived in Portland?
It happened all the time, so I was used to it. And like I told you last time, is I had things, like everything was waterproof. I had like a rain jacket. I don't even own a rain jacket. And we're just, you got so used to going and doing your things when it was rainy.
Yeah.
That like the sunny days were just so great. Whereas here, when it's rainy, I'm just like, what do I even do? What is life?
I know. It is. It has been a lot. Mm-hmm. It's been very gloomy. And it's not even June gloom yet.
I know. I forgot about that. I missed that last summer.
You did. Anyway, welcome to
That's a depressing start. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Did not mean to be that. Just the weather. Anyway, we love you. How you guys doing?
We're going to talk about rejection today.
Hence the gloomy start.
Hence the gloomy start. Because
it's
rejection
a topic
sucks.
close to our heart. It's like nothing has even like recently happened.
No.
It's just like the combination of everything. Mm-hmm. We're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. I do think too, like being on dating apps, you get, if you're on them at all, like you experience rejection all the time.
Yeah.
Like obviously it's not severe.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't feel good.
No, not at all.
So
I think too there's a difference between figuring out the rejection over like a dating app or like when you first meet someone and you're just talking versus trying to figure out rejection in like the midst of a relationship.
Yeah.
Because both happen and I mean they suck either way, but yeah, rejection for in the middle of a relationship is never fun to go through. So I thought we'd talk about that too.
Great. You want to start out with your worst rejection story?
My worst rejection story? Oh my God. I think when I think of rejection, I do think of like being rejected in the middle of a relationship. So if I could think of anything, it'd be like the rejection from my last relationship.
Yeah.
And then being so far away and like living in a different like country and like not being able to fix it is hard.
When you're saying rejection, like getting dumped?
Yeah, not even just not even.
This is a shit show.
I'm not petting her. I refuse. I'm irritated. Stop. Okay. No, what I mean by like not just being dumped, but like just like the slowly realizing like he's not that into you. Mm-hmm. Like he's not into me anymore. Mm-hmm. And I know it. All of these signs are happening. Even before I was looking at like, and I'll talk about this a little more, but like the signs of when you're first talking to someone and they're not into you versus like the signs when you're in a relationship and they're not into you. And I'm like, check. I'm like, I knew this and I knew it in the moment and I still did nothing about it. And so it's like a combination of being rejected and also being like, I could have not let this happen, and I did. Yeah. So I think that's like the worst rejection story, just because like it sucks realizing someone doesn't like you anymore. You're like, God damn it.
Yeah. I think mine's the same. Yeah. But what's interesting, obviously hindsight's 2020, but like my ex and he tried to break up with me multiple times. Yeah. And, like, I, like, didn't let him.
Yeah.
And it's like, you dummy. You just dug yourself a hole, like, bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then when the breakup finally actually happened, it was, like, so devastating.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had, like, fought and put all this blah, blah, blah into it. And then it was like, oh, my gosh. But really, he couldn't even commit to the, like, relationship in the very beginning.
Exactly.
So I'm like, what? Why didn't I make it happen?
Yeah. I think, too, like, it's hard. Like, I've noticed, like, because of that rejection, I haven't really, like, let myself be rejected since then. Because I'm just, like, I don't really... I mean, obviously, like, there's been times when you're, like, messaging someone and I can tell they're not into it. But, like, that's less heartbreaking than, like, an emotional connection.
Yeah.
So, besides your... So, not in a relationship, what's your, like, worst rejection? Or a rejection, like... that happened to you?
Well, I don't know. I feel like the relationship one is just like awful, but the ones that have happened recently
If it squeaks, I'm gonna lose him. Oh my god.
What is happening? This has never been this bad. We're 6 minutes in and we can't get through one thought.
Literally.
And Bash is just laying on my feet.
Like, I swear.
Anyway. I was so excited about that guy that I went on that first date with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been going on dates. They all kind of sucked, but I was like, whatever. And then I had a good date. We had a good date. We were like, I felt like vibing and good conversation. And he seemed like he had his life together. And I was like, nice. And then anyway, the story is like he just moved here. I was telling him things to do. I told him about the farmer's market. He was like, let's go, let's do it. He kept saying those statements too. Like, we should do that.
Right.
So I was like, okay. Love that. Like, you're wanting to like commit to something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I texted him like the day before the farmer's market and was like, do you still want to go? He was like, yeah, I'm not sure what time I'll be off work because he does like engineering stuff and
whatever.
His schedule is like not set. And I was like, that's fine. Just keep me posted. I like planned my day around going to this. So I drove to work, which is very far for me.
Yeah.
I usually try and take the train. And I left at like the worst time because he said he was going to get off later. So I'm like, it's going to take me an hour to get there. He never texts. He never said anything. He never like...
For like a week.
For a week. And then randomly, I think because... Oh, that was the other thing too. He was like active on Instagram.
Yeah.
So then I unfollowed that.
Why do you guys think like... Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. And then he texted me and he was like, can I make it up to you? Like, that was basically the text.
Yeah. It's almost laughable. It was
literally
laughable. Because you're like, that ship has sailed, my dude.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't like the next day. Like, you got so busy with work. I'm so sorry. Like,
and it wasn't an apology either.
There was no excuse.
No.
There was no, like, reasoning. And so I was like, no, it's fine. Like, you don't owe me anything. I'm glad that I know that this is how you communicate. Obviously, that sucked, though. Like, it sucked.
Yeah.
And then it sucked even more because he was like, I just forgot to respond. Which I'm like, that? Really? Even if that is true, which I do not believe at all, like, that makes me feel worse because, like, we had plans.
Yeah.
And clearly they weren't that important to you.
Yeah.
Then. So that was a recent one that really sucked.
Yeah, that does really suck. It's just annoying when, like, you invest time into someone, not even, like, loving or anything like that. It's just time is an investment.
Yeah.
And when they don't reciprocate that at all, you're just like, what the fuck?
And
for me, I want to know why.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, that's probably, like, the worst thing. Same with, like, breakups is, like, there's no closure with like, someone saying, like, I'm not into you. Mm-hmm. Unless they're, like, literally, I'm not into you, there's not really any closure.
Yeah. And you had said, like, you haven't really let your guard down or whatever you're saying. Like,
yeah.
I felt like in that moment I had been vulnerable.
I know.
And I'm like, not that I'm going to be closed off forever, but I do feel like
it's almost like validating,
yeah.
like, this is why I do it. This is why I don't let anybody in. Why I don't want anyone in my room anymore. Why I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard to, like, navigate that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to have a wall up, but still.
Yeah. Like, it's good to be able to let that down.
Yeah.
But it sucks when you do let it down and then you get hurt.
Yeah.
But vulnerability is important to having relationships.
Yes.
It's hard.
And navigating is hard.
Do you have one that's not in your relationship? A story?
Yeah. This guy that I was like, I didn't even know. We had headed off over the summer and just, like, established that it wasn't going to be anything because of where living was, and it was a fun thing. And so when I had gone back to that area, I reached out and was like, hey, let's do it again. It was a lot of fun. And there's, like, a time limit, which was helpful. I got attached, as I knew I would. And it just sucks that it's not, like, as reciprocated because, like, life stuff still gets in the way. And it's not even that. I just think it's, like, again, when you put yourself out there and you don't get that same response back, you're automatically like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
So that's, like, the most recent because it was like kind of prolonged too, and it was so good over the summer, and then it was okay when we met up again, and then we did it again, like met up for Thanksgiving and then met up for Christmas, and I was just like, it almost seemed like work, and like that was so hard.
And you're like, you know how good it used to be, so it's hard to like accept in that moment that it's not that way anymore.
Yeah, and also like I felt a little bit more able to see the signs than I was before, when I was just kind of like, it's not gonna work. Yeah. Even in like because I mean, everybody daydreams, and like sometimes you do think like, oh, is this gonna be bigger than what it is in the moment? Like, is this the start of something new? Like, I know that seems silly.
It's the start of something new. Wow, is that
anyway,
High School Musical?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
But and then it doesn't turn out, and you're just kind of like me, like a balloon just kind of like deflating. So that's the most recent one, and now it's kind of like I do want to go home, obviously, to visit my family, but it was like
that was
like I know that you're
thing.
there, and you're busy, and I'm like not living here, nor do I want to live here. So it just sucks.
Yeah,
sucky feeling.
It is.
But yeah, I wanted to
talk about the signs.
Yeah, talk about a few signs. So I found some like things to note when people aren't interested, but I think these are good to think about when you're first starting to talk to someone, and like try to see it from like working in a dating app, or when you're like going on a first or second date, so like the very, very beginning of even talking to someone. And basically he's not into you if he doesn't match your energy. He's not trying to get to know you, taking a while to respond, not responding. So it's like hard over dating apps because you have to wait until they respond, and then when time goes on, sometimes like it's really easy to get disinterested, and then it's almost like a roller coaster of emotion because they don't respond, and then you kind of like are over it, basically, but at that point, and then they respond, and then you like get your hopes up again, and then it goes down. It's like crazy.
I feel like that's why you need to like make a plan quickly
at the very beginning. Yeah,
because even if I'm like, oh, this person seems like they're really cute, they have good energy, blah blah blah, like regardless of who they are, if we're texting one text a day or like every few days, it's never gonna turn into anything, or like I'm just gonna be over it, like you said.
This is gonna sound so dumb, but I imagine like my visual for that is literally like the Heisman Trophy when he's like this. It's like he's keeping you at bay. Like he's literally holding your head and like keeping you there. And that's how I feel like when that happens, because it's like what's the point? Like, why don't we make the plan?
Yeah.
But sometimes like you still want to keep it going. So the next one is you always text first. And I saw that in my own like thing where I was constantly like reaching out, and then there was like nothing back. They don't always listen to you when you talk. They don't want to meet in person. Same kind of thing. I feel like especially over dating apps is at least there's a time limit. Like if you personally give yourself a time limit of we can text for like 3 days, and if there's nothing, then I'm not gonna match with you anymore, because it's a waste of both of our times. Because it's true, like why aren't you meeting in person? Or say like you make the plan, you exchange numbers, and now you're texting, and it's still like, oh, maybe this day, and then oh, maybe this day, but that doesn't work, so maybe they keep pushing it off. Again, Heisman Trophy, I'm telling you. The conversation doesn't flow. I didn't see your message, in like quotes, when they say things like that. I didn't see your message, I forgot to respond. Those bullshit things. Yeah. It's like half an excuse. I think you get
one pass for I forgot to respond.
Yeah. Because in a timely manner, though.
Yeah. Like if you're
like
trying...
the next day.
Or like, I'm sorry, I got really busy, and like just... Because I do get that. There are days when I'm like, I literally cannot message. Like it's too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
To go through my texts.
That's true.
But like if that's a reoccurring thing, then it's just like... Okay,
stop. Yeah. Yeah, those were just some of the ones that I put for at the very beginning. Just like signs to see when someone's just not into you.
Those are all very good, and also things that I have ignored. Just unfortunate. But I do feel like the more that I've been rejected, or the more that I've like experienced those things, like the more I'm aware of it and able to like
stop it.
Yeah.
I think of it too when I was reading through these. I think of it as shit, I've done some of these to people. And like I think of the things that really suck is when people don't respond or like very wishy-washy. So I find it like when I am responding to that, I'm like, I know I'm doing this, so why don't I say like, I'm not into you?
Yeah.
But then I think like, would I want someone to say that? I mean, I guess, because I don't want my time wasted. I don't know. That's kind of that's a whole other conversation. Like, what would you rather someone tell you? I feel like I already know the answer, but like, yeah, would you rather someone just be like, hey, it's just, I'm not into you, it's just not gonna work?
I would hope they wouldn't say it that bluntly.
Yeah.
Like that would suck.
Like how do you say it? Like I'm trying to think like
I really enjoy chatting. I think like
hype them up before you break them down. You were really, really great. Your hair was fantastic. I'm just not into you.
It's just more of like making it reflect like something reflecting on you instead of the other person.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I guess it's not you, it's me type of thing always also sucks.
Yeah.
But I feel like hearing the words like I'm not into you is like such a blow to like your self-esteem, just like you as a human being, not even like a romantic thing.
Yeah.
Just like they're not into you so much that like they don't even want to like talk to you again. Like that's pretty rough.
Well, it's also going back to our conversation with fuckboy Trey, is the whole ghosting. Like, I do it sometimes, but like I'm gonna do like if you're not responding and I'm not responding, it's kind of like the ghost just happens automatically because I'm reading your sign, so I'm not gonna put any more effort.
Mm-hmm. Which is the energy thing.
Yeah, they are not matching your energy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is really hard. It's easier to notice these. I think like over a dating app, again, when you're not like emotionally connected or invested, but as soon as like any sort of emotional ties, like these signs become harder and harder as you get to know somebody.
Or you like justify them.
Oh, for sure.
Like this person has an excuse for why they're doing it. Or
past
for why
like
they're
their
doing
work. I use it all the time. I've used like 4 in talking about it like already. Yeah. So I think, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's rough.
I just think, too, when you're trying to, like, because when I'm on dating apps, like, I am looking for a partner or, like, someone to, like, emotionally, like, get invested with or, like, get to know. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm, like, looking for it right this second. Like, I want it to come naturally. But it is hard, like, when you do start to emotionally invest in someone, you start like sending out like little strings to them and how you connect. Like I'm very much like I care, so I'm gonna put effort into it, and then these things like start slipping away, or you start making like excuses for them. And to hear the words like I'm not into you from that perspective is really hard.
I think you brought this up in the fuckboy episode about like dating apps make it like harder or easier. I don't remember what you said, but like thinking about rejection right now, like dating apps, it sucks because you're basically like getting mini rejections all the time. But I feel like it also makes it like those real life rejections even harder
because you're like
because you like actually talk to someone in person. And like try and make a move instead of just like swiping on someone. And so when they're like either not like really talking back or like they're clearly not interested or whatever, like that sucks even more, I feel like.
I think too though, like I would appreciate someone saying something. I mean, I'm gonna be hurt regardless. So even if some dick is like, I'm just not into you, like, yes, those words would really, really hurt me. But they're in the same category as if somebody was like, listen, work is just too, like, I wish they would just say it, where they're like kind of saying it, but not really. That's where I'm like, I will make excuses because you haven't fully told me no. And when they say things like that guy was saying is like, let's do this, we should do this. And when you drop those hints, like, don't say it if you don't mean it, because I'm listening and I'm listening for that, because that's what I want. So when you're like, oh, maybe I'll fly down, or maybe you can come up, I'll see you on the days that I'm off. I'm like, all right, let's get my calendar out. What days are you off? Like, let's start planning.
Let's plan it.
And so if you don't say no, that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm just kind of like, even if your excuses are weak as shit and are just like, work is crazy, I don't have time to invest in anybody but myself right now. Like, it's just as much as like, I'm not into you, it's not you, it's me kind of thing. Still gonna be upset, but it's like, all right, now I know exactly how they're feeling and I can move on. Because I'll just sit here and like twiddle my thumbs like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Where is
and
he?
it really
What's he
puts
doing?
like all of the control for your emotions and like the highs and lows in their court.
Yeah.
Not that it's always like a level thing. I think there's always it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
But
I know I'm aware of my own emotions, and I don't need to put feelers out or be invested or wait around. Like, I wish I could be the bad bitch that takes like 3 of these things that I've listed and automatically am like, I can tell he's not into me, so I'm going to be done making the plan. However, like, because I'm only really putting myself out there for connections that I think I can see, like, I don't want to waste my time. So when there is like a strong connection, or like we match on some like deeper level than just kind of like the basic shit, I don't really know how else to put that. I am not going to notice these, and I'm going to want to like push through. I don't know. Yeah. Like, so I get like some people can, you know, make the argument of like, well, don't put yourself out there, but just don't be so invested unless you are like in a committed relationship. But that shit is hard. To like not invest in someone, or not take it so seriously, or plan trips, or, you know what I mean, until it's like progressed. But it's hard to do that. Yeah. When you've done some of those things already. If that makes any sense. You're talking about like in a relationship. Yeah. So like, if I'm personally thinking of like, if you're talking to someone, you're past like the first date, like you're connected, you're like, not that you're messaging all the time, but there's that connection there where you're meeting up on certain nights and hanging out and doing things. In my own mind, I argued with myself saying like, well, why am I getting so connected? Why am I being so upset if he's not responding right away? Like, we're not together. We're not in a relationship. But what I'm saying is, for me, I wish I could be the bad bitch to be like, in this moment, I'm not going to let it affect me, because he's the signs that he's putting out. Does that exist, though? I feel like people can like give off that energy or like pretend, but I honestly don't think that is a real thing. I mean, it's not a real thing for me. I get it. But that's what I'm saying is, I like argue with myself, or when I was like opening up and talking to people about my like latest rejection, that's what some people would say is like, you put yourself, not that I put myself out there too much, I think that's a good thing to do regardless. Yeah. But putting your, how did I say it? Like, getting too invested too early on. But I'm like, I don't think I was like irrationally invested. No, I think there's a difference in like, you're planning your wedding day after the first date. I was not doing that. And like, you had a connection with someone, and so you want to like build on that. Yeah. I don't think that's like bad. Yeah. And I think like that just makes you, like I said, vulnerable, and it makes you able to have a better connection if they match your energy. Yes. It's all coming together. It's full circle. Full circle. I just wanted to share a few like funny rejection stories, because as upsetting and as frustrating as it can be to be rejected, I think it also can provide some great content. And this first one's like really small, because I literally don't even know. When I got Bumble for the episode that we just recently did, I matched with a guy, and he had a picture of, I don't know, he was doing some face, and he said like, my best Pedro Pascal face. And I said, who is that?
And then he unmatched with me. Which now I can't.
I think it's so funny.
I literally see Pedro Pascal everywhere now.
I know. Why did you say that?
I should have just waited one more day and I would have found out who that is.
We were watching a show with him in it.
I didn't know that was his name. I don't know actors.
I just think it was funny that he like immediately unmatched you.
I was like, cool.
Great content though. You'll never forget who that actor is.
No, it's burned into my brain.
Exactly.
And then the other one is with you.
With me?
Not you rejecting me. Like, you'll know what I'm saying.
Okay. No, I'm nervous.
There's like, we have a pretty large friend group, but they're all like in a relationship.
Yeah, they are.
They're all married, they're all engaged. So there's like a handful of single people. Anyway, there's this one guy who, like, honestly, I didn't really, like, pay any attention to. And then it was like, oh.
A light switched on.
Yeah.
And you're fucking hot.
I was like, oh, wait. I think it was just the more, like, I hung out around him. I was like, okay.
Like it.
Like it. And so we were all out one night and, like, drinking and whatever. I don't even remember what the context was for us being out. But we were out and. Gals Gala.
My birthday.
So we're all like dressed up. I'm literally in a sheer dress
full-length gown
with just
in
like
the club
body colored or like skin colored
bodysuit.
Yeah, like onesie.
Yeah.
My whole butt was out. Like, and I'm wearing these high heels. Anyway, it was just a lot. And
at like a dive bar. I thought it was awesome.
But I think I was also feeling like confident. So I was like showing him that I was interested.
Yeah.
But he was also like talking to Ellie.
I just want to clarify, I had no idea what was going on and I did not want to be in the middle. And
I don't think either of us did though. I think it was we were both kind of like, okay, like pick one of us.
Well, there was like, we were like squeezed into this like corner because there's so many people in that place. It was just a lot.
Anyway, he's talking to me, he's talking to Ellie, and then he pulls us both in.
And he whispers something to Erica, and I look at her, and she looks at me, and I'm like, oh my God, he wants a threesome. I don't know what he said to you, and you immediately looked at me, and you're like, time to go? Let's wrap it up. See you guys later. We're done here.
That's the end of our night.
Yep. It's not going any further than this moment.
He said something about like we should go back to my house, like it's quieter there or something. And I was like,
I don't like the quiet.
I actually
fucking hate it.
This loud dive bar, please. But what do? I text him after we left.
As we're walking back.
As we're leaving, and I texted him and I said, if you would have asked me on a date, I would have said yes. Don't get a response until the next day when he says, who is this? At that point, I'm just like ready to jump. Like, I'm just so what? Like, he already tried to have that. Like, no, why would I make it go further? And then I texted him and I was like, this is Erica. Please forget any of this ever happened. Like, just disregard.
Have we seen him since?
At the Super Bowl
yeah.
party. I don't know. That's the thing. Is like, I never really talked to him.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it doesn't impact
hilarious.
anything. It's just like
okay.
Why? Why didn't I do that?
That was good. That was
so,
great.
Yeah, some great content intermixed in the heartache and everything else, but the funny ones are funny.
Yeah.
If you can laugh about it.
I wish you put yourself out there more so that you have more rejection stories. That sounds really shitty. But I don't even I guess the worst rejection things that I can think of very recently are just like if I'm messaging someone, they don't respond, or we match and they never
do anything.
Neither of us ever say anything. It's not really a rejection. It's just nothing's happening. But I've paused my Hinge because I'm just like, I'm
don't need
done.
That. I think, well, I was reading before this episode, like, how to deal with rejection. Like, I was trying to find some articles that might help in this conversation. And one that I read was basically, like, the more rejection you have, the more likelihood of success. Which is, like, I think it can and can't be true. Like, there are people that literally, like, the first person they date is the person they marry type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think the odds of that are very slim.
Yeah.
And so it's like, as much as that's why I'm like, okay, I'll go on a date. Like, even if it doesn't pan out into anything, it's like one step closer, I guess, to like a success story.
That makes sense. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, I thought I was, and then I'm like, wait.
Reel it back in.
I actually, like, once I started letting my wall down, I was like, oh, there's still more I need to work
Well, you hit
through.
the nail on the head last episode or whatever. They're all meshing together. But you were just like, it's hard to go on a date when you're very, very critical on, like, men in general. Like, I am just, everything they do irritates the fuck out of me. I'm just like, I can't. Yeah. I can't even... No, this can't be. This can't be.
It's not a good.
What I am attracted to. It's just like, well.
Okay, now did you want to talk about?
Yeah, little hints and things to catch on to if maybe you're in a deeper relationship and they're giving you some not so great signs. So sporadically contacting or just like long periods of time with nothing and then all of a sudden like a lot of messages and it keeps going back and forth. Treat you like an option and never commit. So they always have like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
This is like,
isn't it great? Doesn't it make you feel so like you lived your
It's like looking in a mirror.
And looking in a mirror, I know. No progress in the relationship or possibly like being very secretive about you or around you. Short notice plans or leaving early, creating drama in hopes you end it so that they don't have to like feel bad about it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
After a breakup, they stay in touch just to have a backup, only talk about themselves, love you but not in love with you, hanging out like friends, avoiding future plans. So let's see, all 10 of those I have felt. And it's really not great.
Yeah, I can give examples of every single one of those in my last relationship.
I do really think it's almost like in order, like sporadically contacting. Like to me, it's just like when you are in a committed relationship, like you're committed. It's clear that both parties are in a relationship. You do establish some sort of like texting, calling schedule, even if you don't realize it, because you're trying to match up, especially if you don't live together. So if all of a sudden it's like they're not sending, I don't know, good night messages, gonna just throw that out there, but then like for like few days and then a few weeks and then all of a sudden are like calling at times that they don't normally call at, or texting and like saying all of these like we should do this, and then nothing happens, like that is to me seems to be the start, because that then leads into the second thing, which is like, or whatever part where it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah. Because you're like, you want to keep me there in case for some reason, but you're emotionally slipping away. Yeah. And what do? We just grab on so tight.
I think it's like an attachment thing
too. It is.
Like if you have someone who has a secure attachment style, even if you're more like an anxious attachment person, like, they'll help you to be more secure. When like, I don't know about you, but my ex was very avoidant. Yep. And so that made me more anxious. And so I like was so much more like compensating for what he wasn't putting in. Yeah. Like you said, I don't think he ever said plans like we should do that. I cannot think of a time when it was like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool, we should. Like, I wanted to hear that so bad, so I think why this guy, after one date, when he was saying that, I was like...
Love it. This is great.
Let's do it. Yeah. But, like, I remember sending him Instagram videos or something about, like, I don't know, some event happening or, like, a place to go, and he's like, oh, like, that looks like you'd have a lot of fun. I'm like, we would have a lot of fun because I'm trying to, we should go to that. We should do that.
Yeah.
And, like, why was I, not that I was okay with it, but I, like, it hurt. It sucked.
Yeah.
But I feel like the thought of, like, I guess being fully rejected was worse to me.
Oh, yeah, in the moment, for sure.
Yeah.
And also, you make excuses. You hear what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So in the moment, if I read that, I think deep down would take it like, oh, that fucking sucks. Yeah. But then, like, message back by, or, like, talk about it next time. Be like, I got us tickets. Like, let's go. Be like, okay, great. But it's always, like, me.
Also, we've talked about this, but the amount of money that I spent in that relationship.
What did I say? If I could have the money back, like, I would drop it in a heartbeat for another person. Yeah. And I'm, like, having anxiety shopping for myself. Yeah. Where I'm, like, constantly, like, doing the math and should I get this or should I not? Do I need this? I don't need this. When it's for not even another person, when it's for a significant other, it was so easy. I'm like, if I could have all that money back, ooh, I would take it in a heartbeat.
It's like they're not giving you their time and attention, so you're, for
buying
me at least,
it.
buying it. Yeah. Like,
I try to, like...
there's so many things that I bought, like trips, and trying to, like, make memories and do things with this person that is, like, clearly not into me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah.
See, I just tried to meet them halfway. Like, I knew my thing was, like, the same sort of thing. Like, I wanted some sort of, like, response or text or reaching out.
Yeah.
And it was annoying because I could always see that they were live on Facebook or live on Instagram. And I'm like, you can't just send one message, I'm busy, good night. So then I'd be like, all right, well, if they are, maybe they're more approachable over these apps. So, like, if you see something funny on Instagram, I would send it to them. Nothing. Even though I know that you're there. I can see that you're on there.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Because he wasn't into me. That's why.
What are some of the others?
Yeah, there's a few.
I've literally, like, I could give examples for all of these.
Same.
But I do think, like, in my relationship in college, or, like, started in high school and through college, there was a lot of, like, secrecy. It was a very toxic relationship, and I feel like the not introducing you to their friends type of thing was very big in that relationship. There was a lot of, like, jealousy and trust issues. And anyway, so with my past, the most recent one that I was in, that was something that I felt like he introduced me to everyone.
Yeah.
And so that, like, was like, oh, he's, like, not trying to hide me.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of was also, like, a little carrot for me of, like, keeping me there. Because I'm like, I know all your friends. Like, I went on a cruise with your family. Like, we've done all these things. It's not a secretive thing. You know?
I feel like, and, like, just now, like, a revelation that I'm having right now is whatever didn't work in your previous relationship, you, or, like, you as in, like, the big you, like, go and try to find, like, the complete opposite. So, like this, in this situation, your previous relationship was not, like, very secretive. And so, like, the next one, it was, like, maybe something that you thought about so much that really did not work well in the relationship that you did not like or whatever. So that you looked for it, like, you compensated with this. And because you had that, all of the other signs disappeared to you because you have the one thing that you didn't have. It's like, I just want all of it. Like, just
give me everything.
Exactly.
Honestly, I don't think these things are too much to ask for at all.
And I think what's one? Creating drama in hopes you end it. I think that is, like, the big one. It's not necessarily, like, creating drama to hope that I don't think he did that in hopes to end it. I mean, maybe. It was just, like, that whole gaslighting thing. Like, you know that you're behaving shitty, but you don't want to own up to it because there's not, like, honestly, my situation should be, like, analyzed by, like, somebody because it's, like, science experiment on, like, love and relationships. But there was literally nowhere to go. It's like, just own up to your shit so that we can deal with this. Like, you gonna run away? There's nowhere to run, dude. We're on the middle of this in the nowhere.
No,
like,
that's, like, what is that in psychology? When, like, someone who, like, when someone's kidnapped and then they do have the chance to run away, but they don't because they're, like, is it Stockholm Syndrome? Is that a thing?
It sounds familiar. Stockholm syndrome.
I'm gonna look it up.
You should.
You tell your science experiment.
But I'm just saying, like, it was just like gaslighting, even though he knew he was being a shitty person, but he couldn't own up to it. So it was like this, just create drama so that I can get you to act crazy, because surprise, I can act crazy sometimes. I know that's wild. And then it's all my fault. And I like, that's how it happened. There was like constant fights like that. Is it Stockholm syndrome?
I mean, this is kind of calling your ex-boyfriend like taking you hostage, and I don't know. That's not right. Definitely it, but like basically like when someone's kidnapped and then they end up like trusting their kidnapper, or like
that's not what happened.
No, I don't know. Just ignore.
But it's like I see where you got it, but that's not what happened. But only want to talk about themselves. Crazy. The love you, but I'm not in love with you. That's always hard to hear.
Mm-hmm. I think I said that to my first boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I was just yeah, because I feel like neither of us were ever going to end it,
mm-hmm.
but we both were like, this isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at one point I was just like, I love you so much, like I care about you, but I'm not in love with you.
Yeah.
And like that didn't go over well.
Yeah. I think people get confused, myself included, on love and fear of not being alone. And I see it in a lot of relationships around me. And I only recognize it in myself because of my previous relationship. Like, we both were like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. No, those are just being rejected while you're in a relationship, and seeing all of these signs really sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. So, on the other side of the spectrum, being the rejector.
Yeah.
I feel like, honestly, I haven't been that often. I feel like because really?
No, I mean, just like me, I feel like.
I guess yes, but not in like a relationship.
Yeah. No, not in a relationship.
But yeah, I've rejected people in like the bars.
I've done more of like the things that we talked about previously. Like the just like kind of not responding, the wishy-washiness over the phone, not wanting to meet up in person. It's just... That's why I paused my Hinge, because it comes in a wave. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm down. Like, I want to hang out, and I want to hang out right now, and I want to find someone. I want to, like, I'll put myself out there. Literally 12 hours later, I'll be like, nope. Can't do it. And that's not fair to anybody. I see that. But it's hard when you're like, 12 hours later again, you're like, I want so, it's just like, it's fucking sucks.
I feel like it's usually for me on the weekends. Like, if I don't have plans or something, I'm like, it'd be really fun to, like, hang out with someone.
See, no, I'm the opposite. I'm like, I want to hang out during the week, because I'm like, I need something to distract me from all this shit. But then on the weekend, since it's, like, my time off, I'm like, this is the only time that I can, like, do the things that I want to do by myself.
Yeah, I get that, actually.
It's hard to navigate, because I love my single life, but I also don't like being single. It's like, how do you figure that out? But as far as, like, rejection, just kind of that, again, the Heisman, just kind of keeping them at a distance. Like, you stay over there, can't come close, not in my circle.
I have some, these are my tips that I found.
Okay.
I found tips of being the rejector.
Oh, perfect.
And the first one is don't insult them.
Yeah.
Which, like, sounds obvious, but I do think,
like, what do you mean?
Like, kind of like, by saying directly, like, I don't know. Okay, this is what this article is saying. There are small groups of people who will sadly resort to petty name-calling after they've not gotten the answer that they wanted, or, like, something like that. And I think that if, like, a guy came up to me, not that I do this, but, like, if a guy came up to me and I was not into it, or I, like, didn't want it, like, if I insulted them in the sense of, like, I'm not attracted to you, or, like, I'm not, like...
into that or whatever.
Yeah.
Seems a little immature.
It does. This is also called ditchthelabel.org. I don't know what this website is. But then it says to be honest. So I think that's where it goes. Maybe
I honestly don't like you, so...
Maybe these are actually not good tips. And I just thought they were in the moment.
No, they're good. I'm just like,
sense of like kind of what you were saying earlier, when someone's so wishy-washy and not giving you like a very direct or like transparent reason as to like why they're maybe not texting you back, or like, you know.
I just feel bad for some of the things. It's not necessarily like I feel bad. It's just hard when like there could be a better option, but it seems so easy outside of the moment. But in the moment, I'm like, I can't be honest with this person. Like, how do I tell you that I'm not interested when like the reason why I'm not interested is because like I don't like anything about you.
Well, this other tip says, remember that you don't owe them anything.
Yeah, see, all signs are leading to me to say, I don't know.
I'm
thinking in particular a situation that happened over the summer where like we met someone, a few people like at a bar, and that's how we like met, and then the conversation kept trying to continue, and I thought I was interested, so I like continued to reach out, and then he started reaching out, and I was like, wait a second. Okay, I followed you on Instagram for a little bit, so I saw like what you were into, and yeah, and then I just didn't respond. I ghosted him. I know that's not good, but I couldn't.
Yeah, what are your rejector stories?
Well, that's one.
That one.
The other one's, yeah, just kind of like nicely saying like what you want to happen is not what's gonna happen, because I don't want to do that. Or you. It sounds bad, but I mean like.
But that's what you're talking about.
Or like when like they are so quick to commit and you thought you wanted that, and then you're like, ooh, that's a little too much commitment.
Yeah.
There was this guy that I met over Bumble when I first did dating apps. My first dating app was Bumble, and it was when I was in the Bay Area, like a year ago. And we met, and he like seemed like a nice guy, but I don't think I was ready for what he was like offering. And it seemed shitty, but like his like amount of interest and like like always like he would like text over and over like, when can we hang out? Let's plan this. Does this work? Made me more like not interested. So even I was still kind of like, I don't know, maybe. And then he continued to do that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like it was too much. Yeah. And then by that time, that's when I decided to move. So like the next time that we hung out, I was like, I'm moving. So like I don't really think we should continue.
So I'm gonna leave.
Literally leave the town. And it was just kind of like, oh, like that sucks. Yeah. Still continued to message, and I was just like, I can't put any more effort into this.
Yeah.
But other than that, those are all my real like crazy rejections. I don't like ghosting people, so I try not to get it to that point. I don't like being ghosted, so I don't want to do that to somebody. But sometimes it's like when the conversation's not going anywhere, and I've clearly kind of told you already like I'm not interested, and you continue to message me, like the only logical thing I can think of in my mind is like to not put any time into it.
Yeah. And
then they still message. I'm like, you're crazy. But I've been on the other end, so I was just like, I don't know, whatever. Probably made myself seem a little like a bitch, but oh well.
You reminded me of the guy that we met at that market, and I was like, oh, he's like the perfect man. Like, he's the dream guy. I'm like so excited about him.
Oh my God.
And like followed him on Instagram. We started messaging.
Did you ghost?
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Okay. I do know who you're talking about.
And he
came across as literally the perfect guy.
The perfect guy. Which is like, obviously that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Clearly.
But yeah, then we started texting, and then he called me, and we talked for like an hour on the phone. But during that whole time, I realized like he was the only one talking, and only talking about himself. Yeah. Like there was no interest expressed in me. Not that I need to talk about myself. Like I wasn't like just wanting to talk about myself. But I'm like, this isn't a conversation. Like you're basically just tooting your own horn at this point. And like also one of those people that makes you seem or feel like less than if you don't know things.
Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Or like, yeah I know, yeah.
Like, sorry, I haven't read every book.
Yeah, exactly. He almost took what was one of the most attractive things about himself and, like, twisted it into being the worst thing about him. Yeah. It's like, how did you do? Only a man could do something like that.
Yeah, I was like, so during that phone call, I was slowly realizing, like, okay, I think, because we had talked about, like, planning to meet up.
Yeah.
And, like, doing something. And I'm like, I will do it. Like, let's do it. Because if this is meant to be, or if this is, like, a person that I'm having a connection with, then it's worth it.
Yep.
But I'm glad I had a phone call before he did that. Anyway, like, we got off the phone. I didn't say anything. Like, what I was thinking, I was just kind of processing.
Yeah.
And then we were texting some more. And, like, I realized that I had also been mostly the one asking him questions. So I kind of, like, stopped, like, to see if he would say anything.
Yeah.
And, like, the conversation was just, like, dead. So I didn't respond. And then I
actually, now that you're talking about it, I remember what. This is wild to me. This is why I just full stop it, because I just he did this guy is wild.
So he texted again. He said, "Good morning, hope you're well." I said, "Thanks, you too." He said, "Hope my question didn't offend you. I was just merely trying to switch the conversation." Which he asked, like, what's the craziest thing you did in college? I don't know. Like, maybe that's a good question, but just for context, like, the conversation was just not
It's not like
happening.
He was asking all these questions all the time. It's like that question almost came out, like,
out
of the blue.
Nowhere.
And
yeah.
you're like, what? Go from talking and telling you, like, oh my gosh, you've never read this book, or you don't know about this history of, like, almost kind of mansplaining woman's history to you, which one is fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And then, like, then this question.
Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit further so it doesn't,
So you can see.
So you can see, like, what did you this is me. What did you end up doing? I watched football and wrote a little. Okay. Sounds lovely. How did your team do? They had a bye week this week. What does that mean?
What?
They didn't play this weekend. So I didn't respond to that. And then he asked, what's the craziest thing you did in college?
That's fucking weird.
And I think because I hadn't responded, and then he was like, oh, she's, like, not going to keep asking me questions, throws that one out. So I didn't respond to it. And then he said, good morning, hope you're well. Anyway, I said, I'm not offended. I'm not a huge texter, and it just felt like the conversation was hitting a lull. He goes, I see. So instead of communicating that or calling, you fall back. I said, I hope you didn't mean for that to come across as rude as it did. But what are you looking for from this conversation? He said, I was rude. You're right.
He did what he's telling you not to do. He fell back.
Mm-hmm. So that was I guess a rejection, because then we never spoke again. Yeah. But it's just like, yeah. I asked him, I said, what are you looking for? Because, like, I would have, if he asked me back, I would have told him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was just very bizarre to me. And, like,
I'm just baffled.
Baffled.
I keep being baffled.
Just have, like, fur all over me.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think, like, if you have an ounce of empathy in you, then rejecting someone is hard. It should be hard.
Yeah.
And, like, you want to do it in a kind way, and you want to do it in a way that's, like, cognizant of how they might be feeling, but you also, like those things we're saying, like, you need to be honest. You don't owe them anything, and you can't control how they react to that.
Yeah.
So, like, if they get
or
so upset
or whatever,
get really angry, like, that's on them.
Yep.
And you need to, like, protect yourself and your boundaries, and don't carry something on just for the sake of trying not to hurt them, which I honestly believe is what my ex did.
Yeah.
To me, which is, like, me, yeah. I wish.
And even sometimes what I did to myself with him, though. Yeah. Like, I knew.
Yeah.
I knew well before the conversation happened, and he did nothing, I did nothing, and we were just, like, stuck.
Yeah.
All for the sake of not hurting one another when we're doing, like, damage.
You're hurting them more by not just cutting the cord.
Exactly.
Because you're just
so
not that
hard.
into them.
Exactly. When you're not into them or they're not into you, it is hard. But I'm just realizing, like, as I get older, time becomes more precious. It's not like I'm fucking 80 years old, but
no, but it's so true.
It's true, and it's like I can look at it selfishly or in like a kind way. It's like I don't want to waste my own fucking time because I feel like my time was wasted. It's fucking it was too much. Things were taken for granted, and I ended up getting the shit end of the stick. So I don't want to do that. And also, like, I don't want to waste anybody else's time.
Yeah.
Like, their time is just as valuable as mine, and if I know, maybe they know too, or if they don't, like, it's just kinder to say something. It's just always hard to be rejected.
Yeah. It's the moral of this episode. Yeah. It's hard on either end, but I think that it's worth it to be honest and also to, like, put yourself out there and have the chance of being rejected. Because
how do you, not your therapist's advice, deal with rejection? I just cry.
I mean, I think crying is a very, like, valid thing, depending on how invested or connected you were. I also think it's good to not be on your phone. Like, I really try to, like, put it in another room, like, get it away, because I think I can spiral. Like, with technology, you can, like, go in rabbit holes, like, about that person, and then find, like
there's so many things you can rabbit hole so quickly.
Like, it's not just Instagram. So I do try to get off my phone as much as I can, or, like, set boundaries in that way. And I think also, like, getting out of the house, it's helpful living with you, honestly, like, because I know for myself, when I was by myself, even in my relationship, living alone, like, I would just lay and, like, let myself get more and more upset and more worked up. And, like, sometimes it's just, like, literally, like, take a walk.
Yeah.
Like,
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I also think, like, in my experience, I definitely am one of those people, like, on the far end of things, like, after a breakup, dealing with rejection like that, doing something wild to myself, like a haircut or hair dye or something crazy.
Yeah.
This haircut wasn't inspired by that. Maybe. I don't really know. Or so with the little things, like, sometimes I'm just like, you know what, it really sucks. I need to go get my nails done, or just stay at home and paint my nails, or do something, like, for me, to me, just to, like, kind of build up my own confidence. Because at the end of the day, when you're rejected, it's a ping to yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think someone like myself who's already so critical, I need to turn it around real quick, or that spiral can be, whether it's from my phone or not getting out, can be worse than it is. So even if I can't go out, like, taking the time to do something for myself.
Self-care.
Yeah, some sort of, like, self-care. And even like to not to be, like, all about appearance, but sometimes I feel like it is helpful to do something, like, to your appearance, like, try a new, like, makeup trend and, like, take a few pictures, or do your nails, like I said, or do your hair a different way. Because, like, you can do self-care things like journaling or reading, but I feel like after rejection, even the smallest thing of, like, somebody not answering to, like, a big thing is, like, sometimes I'm not gonna want to journal about it. Like, I don't want to have to remember it. Like, I just want to get over it because it's embarrassing and it sucks.
Yeah.
So those kind of, like, self-care things I wouldn't recommend, but something, like, to yourself.
No, I think that's great, and I agree. Like, taking the time to, like, do a face mask or a bath, or, like,
to just feel good about yourself. Kind of try to get that confidence.
Honestly, that's why I, like, put on real clothes today. Because I was not feeling good, and I'm like, maybe this will help me feel better. And it does.
Yeah.
Help.
Exactly.
Like, when you, like, get yourself together, you feel better about yourself.
Definitely.
Anything else?
That's rejection.
Rejection sucks. And be kind.
And be kind.
We love you.
We love you guys. Hope you have a fabulous rest of your week.
Follow us on
everything. On everything. And subscribe to our YouTube.
Please.
Watch us.
Okay, love you, bye.
Bye.